This is IFV, the web space with your dose of business and financial news. In full view, we're making your business our business.
Welcome to In Full View. I'm Marcella Palmer, bringing you the week's medium and small business news. This week, we're talking effective branding and affinity marketing in these developing days of digital with Nick Moore. He's Executive Vice President and Chief Creative Officer of international communication and marketing agency Wunderman, New York. We caught up with Nick at BrandsConf in New York City.
We work with some of the biggest brands in the world. We work with Dell Computers, Citibank, Microsoft, Ford, Land Rover, so pretty big global companies. And we work across a range of media from TV through all of the digital space. And we still work in good old offline media like print and so forth.
What are challenges in today's world where people are just bombarded left and right all day long with messages? How do you stand apart from the pack?
I think the first thing is a lot of things are changing. It's no longer the case that you make a couple of 30-second TV spots and bang, you're branded. It's a little more complex than that. I think people are consuming brands one person at a time, one interaction at a time, one engagement at a time. So you have to be smart about the fact that everything is a branded experience, from your CEO's speech to the storefront that you put up, to the TV spot that you put out, to the way you package your products, and of course, perhaps most importantly and most new of all, is your digital presence.
Talk to us about digital presence and branding.
I think the first thing that a lot of brand advertisers find very concerning is that in the digital space, the brand is no longer in control of everything. In a TV spot, I control absolutely everything. In the digital space, of course, it's the community, it's what the community says about me, it's how the community chooses to interpret my messages and then pass that on to their fans, their friends, and their family. So branding is a collaborative process now.
How can you take control of that process if it seems like it's in other people's hands? What does the business owner, what does a corporation do?
Well, I think the first thing is to recognize that you cannot fully control it and to be calm about that, because there's no point worrying about things you can't affect. The second thing is to be consistent. If you're always coming from the same space, not necessarily saying the same thing, but if you're always coming from the same space with authenticity, then that will shine through the conversations. And the third and final thing, which is really important, is you've got to be interesting. People will only talk about you if you interest them. I think one of the ideas that we're playing with these days is that, in fact, in the digital space, everybody is a brand. So, I don't know, perhaps today you tweeted or you updated your status. You are broadcasting to your own personal network. You are putting across the messaging you choose to issue to the people you choose to influence. So you're behaving like a brand. And in that world, when a brand advertiser wants to engage you, when you stop and think about it, everything becomes affinity marketing, the potential marriage between my brand and your brand. And that's a kind of new way of thinking about things. It also means I've got to give you things, messages, news, whatever, that you will use to extend your brand, to develop your brand, or in some way kind of push forward your own personal agenda. So it's a different kind of contributing process that we're doing in the digital space. It's a very new world. The great news is, there used to be a huge barrier to entry, which was it's very, very expensive to get on TV and do this branding thing. And anybody can play now. So that's great news. The second thing is be a brand of interest, because what happens in the digital space is people talk to you, but above all, they talk about you. And that's how you will gain currency, and that's how you will build your brand, not through the efforts that you yourself do, because maybe you have a business to run as well as a brand to build. But if you put enough material of interest out into the world, people will talk about you and do the work for you. So be interesting.
That's all for this week from the IFV News team. Thanks for joining us. Be sure to check back every day right here at ifvnews.com for the latest on what's happening around the globe in the medium and small business world.